So, my name is Nancy Meyer. This is my husband, Alan Meyer. And this is our dog, Sadie. Come on, Sadie. And this is our 120-year-old farmhouse on the prairie. We have 5 acres here in the middle of cornfields. I think you took a little video earlier of all the cornfields around us. And the Platte in the distance there, we're 1.5 miles south of the Platte on the south side of the river, about halfway between North Bend and Fremont, Nebraska. So we're in northern Saunders County, and this is our place. And what do we call this place, Alan?
This is Meyer's Prairie Garden, and we like to say garden because people like to say that this is a farm, but we don't feel it's a farm. We think that's kind of disrespectful for the people who actually make a living farming. We are gardeners.
Yeah.
And we are happy to be gardeners.
Yeah. And we also don't sell anything.
Right.
So, all right, let's get started.
So, what we're going to start off with is about 2 years ago around this time, I took a tiller and plowed up the grass that was growing in our front yard. I did this with inspiration from Holly Hamlet, Kay Walter, and Tim Rinna. And they, if you have not heard of them, look them up. They do a great job in Lincoln.
Mm-hmm. Spelled Hawley.
Yeah. So what this is we are looking to be a pollinator garden for birds, wildlife, insects, and also we have some things that we can eat ourselves. I'm going to start off. We're just going to do a little loop here. We have things like here, we have some strawberries. That is not native, but we are intending to do this as native as possible. We do have legacy plants, like we have irises here. There's probably a few other things in here that are not native, but in general, when new things that we add, we try to put in native plants. You might notice that some things look like just weeds here. A lot of times I just let them go because I like the way they look. Like over there, we just went by some. I'm pretty sure these are some kinds of weeds, but I kind of like that foliage. And this looks like it's going to make an interesting flower. We had something like this last year, and it put a really long, interesting flower, so I'm glad I left that go. We have, this is a native bunch grass that I've put in place, and it's about ready to, we could move it if we want. We haven't really decided where to put it. In the distance over there, you can see what's probably been our most successful part of this front yard, which is what people would normally tear up from their lawns is creeping Charlie or ground ivy. It's very similar to henbit, but it's not quite the same stuff. And you see a lot of violets in there too. I like that stuff because I don't have to worry about it at all. It just grows. These are another plant that I'm not
Nancy,
sure
wave in the shadows.
Hi.
Hi.
There's another plant, I'm not sure what it is, but it looks like some kind of mint. And it also has, we got some really nice, pretty purple flowers from a plant like this last year. So I let this go, and I'm hoping it comes up with something nice. We do have some bushes in here. This is pretty overgrown. It takes a lot of work to get to keep the weeds down to this level.
Yeah, it's all hand weeding.
Yeah, so we don't do any spraying, no insecticides, no herbicides. So all of this is done by hand or mechanical. We do use tillers.
Tell me about the path we're walking on, Alan.
Okay, so yes, so this is broken up concrete from a sidewalk we had in the backyard. Aaron Urbonsky, is that how you say it? Of
Earth sculptors.
Earth Sculptors is moved most of these out here for us. He broke it up in the backyard, moved it out here, and this kind of shows that we like to reuse things. We don't like to throw things away, so we put them to a different use. So this was a great thing that we could do. Some of the rocks that you're standing on are just rocks that we found around the place. They seem to be a kind of soft limestone. I'm really not sure what they are. Plant here in the middle is an aster that we just put in this spring. It's doing pretty well. Let's see.
I see some lines running here, just that we're looking at now.
So right now, this year we've had a lot of rain, so we haven't done this very much, but just to get a lot of the plants established, we have put in some drip irrigation, but most of the plants are native and are drought tolerant. So hopefully we will not have to use that very much after they get established. Let's see, I want to point out another one. I have no idea what this is, but I really like the way it looks. It's probably some kind of weed that I'm going to regret letting grow, but I think it's cool looking. Yeah.
Your garden, your choice, Alan.
Yeah. So I'll point out a couple of the native plants here. There's penstemon, there's a white yarrow, there's some butterfly weed, that's the orange ones there. There's some bee balm, baby's breath, so that kind of stuff. Over here, the black-eyed Susans have gone to town. They were in a bed about a third that size last year, and boy, do they love it out here. And I'll tell you one thing that we have noticed is we have a lot more birds now than we used to. You can hopefully hear them in the background, but we've really noticed that there's been a big increase in that this year. Like I said, when we started this was all just grass, and we didn't really get that many birds around except at fire feeders. Over here we have some little blue stem. It's another native bunch grass. And around here is what you see crumbing up here is mostly buckwheat. And I put that in as a ground cover because I really didn't have a plan for this area this year, and I just don't want the ground to be bare.
Sorry, is that this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, do you know, what's this other guy here, do you know?
Purslane.
Yeah, that's purslane.
Oh, same one that we have over there, huh?
Yeah, that.
This is edible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a weed that comes up a lot of places. I don't know if it's native or if it's introduced, but it is edible, and it's just been naturalized quite a bit here.
Want to point this out right here?
Oh yeah, so that's another plant that's definitely not a native, but it's ubiquitous. It's you can say it's invasive, but that's called lamb's quarter, and that's very nutritious. This is really past its prime, and so we've been taking it out as we go, but we do eat quite a bit of that.
What did your grandma call it?
My grandmother, that's how I found out it was originally edible. My paternal grandmother took me out one day when I was like 8 or 9 years old and said, let's get some wild spinach. And she went and said, okay, you can tell by the white on it, on the leaves, so you can kind of see it there.
Yeah, the underside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And she cooked it up, and of course, since I helped pick it, I thought it was wonderful, even though I hated spinach at the time. And it was really good. So this is over here.
We've got a comment from Audrey who's watching, and she wanted you to know that she loves purslane.
Oh, okay.
Oh, come out and harvest some.
Yeah, we have tons
Help
of
yourself.
it. Over there, we've got a whole bunch of it, right by the black-eyed Susans, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Okay, we do have a few shrubs. We have like 3 service berries over there, which we've harvested berries from. We have a snowberry and a coralberry over here, which are basically they're not edible by people, but the birds will like them. And we have a couple gooseberries. Over here, this is called a milpa garden, and the seeds are provided to us for just the shipping cost by Green Cover.
So what you're pointing at right now is not milpa. This is
milpa.
Oh, that's milpa?
Yeah.
I thought that was buckwheat as
well. This whole area here is milpa.
Okay, great.
But the way I did this is I put, I planted the corn first, and then after it got to like 3 leaves, I put, I had separated out the squash and the beans from the other plants, from the other seeds, and I put those in between every other row. And so you can see there's a lot of weeds, but that's also because there's squash and beans in there. So the 3 sisters are over here, and then the other seed, along with beans and squash, I put in here. And this is the buckwheat that I planted at that time. And here is something in the mustard family. It might be a radish. You know, I'm not really sure.
This is kind of a pea.
Yep, there are peas in there. Oh, that's another thing, is there are some here, back here,
and lots
along with the buckwheat I put in field peas. And those didn't come up as fast.
What is this here, Alan? Is that kale?
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah, we had a lot of kale in our milpa in years past. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and this looks like a cantaloupe. So there's a lot of squash in here. There's a lot of beans.
Yeah.
There's radishes, kale, okra, and a ton of other things. Nancy could probably tell you a bit more about that. But as you can see here, the corn is about ready to harvest. I would say just a few more days, maybe a week. And what the idea of Green Cover gives us the seeds, and we are to give half of the harvest to like a food bank or charities, or donate to somebody who needs it.
We have Jamie Horder, who just said hi, watching with 5 people from Lions.
Great.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Hi, Jamie.
And Audrey has asked, what is milpa?
Oh.
Well, okay, so I recommend you go on.
Oh, hold on.
Hi. Kind of a loud car going by.
All right.
I recommend you go on the Green Cover. It's a seed company. Their website, go on their website. They're a Nebraska seed company. They're out by Kearney, I think. And you can order their seed for, this is the smallest amount you can order. Okay, you can order enough for very large acreages. Yeah. And they will ship it to you for only the shipping costs. So the seed itself is free. And it's part of a program just to get this seed out into the hands of people who can use it and share it. Milpa, I believe it's a Mayan seed mixture, and it
technique, I think, more than a mixture.
Okay.
Because these are native. These are seeds that grow here, not in the Maya area.
Not.
That's what Audrey asked. Was milpa is a type of growing? It's a way of growing.
It's a technique.
It's a technique of growing
where you put everything together.
Yeah.
And so they kind of support each other. You can see the buckwheat loves it.
Sure.
Look at all that.
Yeah, and the peas are growing up on the buckwheat. So I think the idea that really appealed to us is, first of all, we have a whole vegetable garden, so we don't need this food. But the idea that we could use our property, this particular area has never been gardened. It's always been in grass as far as we know. And produce some food for people that, could use it, but we don't have to maintain it after putting it in and keeping it watered. We don't have to weed it, because hand weeding, as you know, is really labor intensive, and so there's no way we would have time to keep up with this as well.
Right.
So
we
that's
can weed it if we want, and originally I did do some tilling, but in general,
Yeah.
after the initial
low
ones,
maintenance for us.
I just let it go.
Jen Nebb says, I love hearing the birds. So apparently they're a prominent part of our soundtrack.
Good.
And Audrey also says love the birds.
Great.
So I guess the birds are really adding quite a lot to tonight's live stream.
We love the birds too. We listen to it, and this is a good time to hear them because they're starting to go to bed.
Yeah, they get noisy. Alan, I don't know if you can see this in the background. See our tree with the apples on it? That was here when we moved in. That's been a really good apple tree. It's our best one. Beautiful, tasty green apple.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that tree is
In bad shape.
it's on its last. You know, I last year we didn't get any apples from it, and we thought it might just die. But this year it's producing, and we're very happy about that.
Yeah.
But
And this is a path that Alan put in because we're doing some construction in the back of our house, and so we pulled out a lot of these things that were part of our patio.
so one thing I wanted to add is Aaron Urbanski of Earth Sculptures. He also put in some berms here to catch. There's a very slight slope going down, and we hired him to come out here and kind of give us ideas on what to do with this.
Basic landscape.
Yeah, so that was last fall. So this is, a lot of this is his work, and we were very happy with what he's done for us.
Yeah, we've done all the planting and some more of the, some more of the sidewalk.
Yeah.
But what he did over there, I don't know if we'll be walking over there if we have time, but what he did over there was, because he could see that this, there was a slope that way, he put in a swale, and he also took some trees out for us that needed to come out because they were shading our solar array, and he buried them back there. And so that's a hugelkultur mound back there that you can't see very well because it's beyond that grass, but when we had a really heavy rain, we took a picture of it to show him how well it was working, because it did pool up in that area, and the plants love it because that's a good...
Yeah, we got 7 inches of rain.
Oh, Alviola is watching and says, nature is so cool.
It is. It is wonderful. So, and again here, a lot of these plants, these came up from last year's milpa, and so I just left them. So there's some beans here that have come in. They're obviously a pole type, but I don't have any poles for them.
One pole.
Right here, because it got in the path.
Got one pole.
Yeah, one pole. But we'll just let them do what they want. There's a sunflower you can see over there.
Oh, yeah.
In the
Let's
corn.
go over there.
And
That's left over from last year.
And that again from last year. It had come up before I planted the corn, so I just left it, and it's doing great.
Yeah. Yep.
Looking good.
Now, one thing is, Nancy has a beehive, and one thing I've noticed is, even though there's a lot, all of these flowers have attracted a lot of native bees, I have not seen very many of her bees out here. Last year they came out quite a bit. I'm really surprised, because I thought that the buckwheat in particular would attract them. But like I said, you see a lot of natives, but not that many of hers have come out here.
You must have enough over there. Wow.
Okay, is there anything that
Should we drift past the hugelkultur over there and see your little berm? And I don't.
Sure.
When we did the pre-tour, we couldn't really see the logs too well, but as we get closer, you get a better sense of the landscape work.
So here we also have some herbs. Here's some oregano here. So some dill, oregano in the path.
What you're showing is, one of them, this mound.
Yes. So this is one of the mounds.
Mm-hmm.
This is purple poppy mallow, which I grew from seed. I started inside, and it's done very well. We've got 4 of them managed to live, and they're doing well.
Here's some nice looking basil.
So you can see here is some of the is subsided, and so you can see some of the wood kind of sticking out. So you see that. We have basil over here. We have,
Is that dill?
no, that's
Oh,
cilantro.
Cilantro got all tall, didn't it?
Yeah, it's turning into coriander.
This is another landscape feature we did here, Scott. That we,
Hold on.
I don't know if you can see it. We had some old logs that were kind of, Alan had cut, and they're hollow. So Aaron just put them in here, and we put some soil in them, and we're putting plants in them, so they're planters.
Yeah, that's a lavender and some flax. This is the flax, and that's lavender. We have a whole stand of flax over there, and it's amazing that a friend of us gave us the seeds for that, and it's done really well. Just beautiful blue flowers.
And the Shazo gave us that.
Yeah, and whenever it rains, they bloom again. You think they're all done, and all of a sudden they just bloom again.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of white yarrow back there. You can maybe see. And this is where all this grass is. This is kind of, we just throw wildflowers in there, so you can see some flowers growing in there.
Nancy, what have you got there?
Basil. It's doing real well. Here, have a sniff. It smells really fragrant.
Jamie says the log planters are a great idea. Going to use that one.
Great.
You might want to look up hugelkultur, Hugelkultur. Yeah, it's a German word.
Yep, it means hill culture, and the idea is to just bury a wood, and the wood will soak up the water, and then as it rots, it releases nutrients into the soil, and it's a good way to create a berm that you can plant on. This is the basil that I just pulled out. We had extra seeds from the garden. Why not throw it out here, see what happens?
We're going to take one more tour of the log planter before we go. Oh, there's even another one hiding back there. Here we go. This one. I'm going to use the other one down here.
Ooh. Struggling to get in.
All right.
I think we need to keep moving.
Let's do it.
Mosquitoes.
Yeah, so
Oh, here's some
one of our biggest challenge. Yeah, that's the
oregano.
oregano.
Oh, yeah.
One of our biggest challenges out here is the flies and the mosquitoes. Keep us from doing some work sometimes. But other than that is the grass out here. Is you think, you plow it under,
Yeah.
you think you got it, and it comes back.
But
So
both of those things are evidence that it's a very fertile place because, there are lots of weeds who want to live here, and even though we don't want them, weeds, by weeds I mean grass,
Nancy?
mostly.
You've got some evidence right there. Please hold.
I got a bug. Oh, thank you. Yeah, the other thing is the bugs. I mean, that's the price we pay for not spraying.
and there is our crazy cat.
And there's our worthless cat. who will catch the mice, maybe.
Maybe.
But anyway, so as we come over here, I just want to point out that we have a walkway that we built. All of these bricks we laid ourselves, that we were scavenged from places, and also on vacation. So some are from New Orleans and some are from New York City, and we just put them in order to establish a place to sit. And again, you can see there's quite a lot of weeds. What I do for weed control in this area is soapy water and vinegar and things like that are not, not toxic other than to the weeds, but it's only marginally effective. We establish a sitting place here, and then we set this up, but it used to be a water feature, and we changed it, so I don't know if that's very interesting. But anyway, so we're coming over here to the vegetable garden.
Hold on.
Yeah, so I don't.
Okay.
Did you talk about the milkweeds and things?
Not yet.
Okay, we're coming around to the vegetable garden. Here we go.
So what you were looking at over there, Scott, is actually a flower garden that has gotten out of control. I weeded it early in the spring. There's a lot of native flowers in there, and I just let it go. So sunflowers, milkweed. A lot of things get in there that I don't even bother to try to weed. I have hollyhocks and stuff that I really like. So whatever blooms, I'll let it stay. And I pay the price. It looks pretty overgrown. But this is the vegetable garden. And this is a piece of land that has been gardened for a man stopped in one time and said his grandmother lived here, and this is where she kept her garden. So this has been a vegetable garden for this house for probably 100 years. We try to keep it fertile by putting chicken manure from our friend Ed. Hope Ed's online. Hi, Ed. And he gives us chicken manure. We give him vegetables, and he gives us eggs, and then we get the chicken manure miles away. And again, as you can see, the rain has really, really caused a lot of weeds to grow. You would not believe me if I told you I have already weeded this down to, no weeds at all once this year already, but it's extremely hard to keep it that way when it rains so much. So we have corn, starting from the right, corn, beans. I got a line of okra here I'm still working on weeding. And then these fence lines have tomatoes, and they go all the way over to there with some pepper plants as well. Again, I don't even take out milkweed from the garden unless it's shading. Milkweed and sunflowers that grow out there, unless it shades, I don't take it out. So it doesn't look good, and that's fine with us. One thing about our property is we know that it's labor intensive, and we've accepted that, and we know that it'll never look perfect and trim nicely and all pretty and, like your picture book gardens. And we accept that too. And we still get plenty of food to eat, so we're fine with that.
Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I've been getting texts and phone calls. People have had trouble getting in. So
Okay.
Maybe
there's
Audrey
no
can work
links
on that.
on the.
Okay, so Alan has mentioned that there are some people who are trying to join and are having difficulty with that. Audrey, I know that you seem to be watching, and I don't know what the best way to make this video link available is. I am on my phone, and here we go. Hello, we're live streaming from my cell phone. And it seems the video is live, and so Audrey has said she can sure try and help people find the link. So, Alan, do you know who has contacted you?
Well, it was Ann DeVries.
Oh, Ann DeVries, yep.
And Kelsey
And
Kuros.
Kelsey Kuros. Okay. Let's see if Audrey can maybe help make a connection with them. Jamie said it doesn't load on the event page, so I left a message on the event page for people to come to this link. Okay. Well, for what it's worth, this is an ongoing learning experience. And so we're doing the best we can with the live video, and hopefully it will still be archived and available later. But thanks all for the feedback and the technical support.
Yeah, everything's a work in progress, right?
That's right. Everything is.
So this side of the garden over here, Scott, is my boxes that Alan built out of scrap wood that we had left over from projects. And I've got all kinds of things going on in here. It's kind of hard to explain, but we have a lot of peas and carrots and, cabbage, leeks. We have a permanent bed of leeks. Alan makes wonderful leek soup. Those are the ones with the purple tops there that are blooming. Beyond that, I have some beets. I love to make pickled beets. People seem to like it. And then I've got my squash and some volunteer tomatoes in here. In that bed I put a lot of compost, and therefore I got a lot of volunteer. So I'm not really sure what's in there, but it's all doing great. And over there, I have on that tower cucumbers. I still make a lot of pickled cucumbers, but I also like to make those into juice, and I drink that in the summer. I have some green onions, some red and yellow onions, and then this bed is
Oh, it looks like Desiree said, I'm accessing by phone, but I wish I could from laptop.
Oh.
And Tanya Jones-Frank says, their lettuce is amazing. The best wilted lettuce. Thanks, Myers.
Yeah, that's our neighbor. She lives a half a mile away, and she came down and got
And
see
that's
this
when
bed.
Nancy was just
That's what was right here before, and now it's kind of starting to get bitter. So I'll be putting in some more, moving my tomatoes from volunteering over there into here or something. And over here I have peppers and eggplant. So here's my eggplant doing pretty well. These are the long kind. I don't have a preference on the long or the fat kind, but they're doing pretty well. So I got a couple going on here, and
Yeah,
taking those off soon.
Those type are really good for making stir-fried garlic eggplant.
Oh, yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Jen Neb has said, nice garden. Between hail and rabbits, ours hasn't done well. Have you had any difficulty this season with either hail or rabbits?
We have not had any hail, thankfully, although we've had quite a bit of rain. But rabbits, yes. And we have a dog. See her? That's her job, is to keep the rabbits out. Unfortunately, she's kind of a digger, so there's a invisible wire that she can't get herself into the garden. So if the rabbits figure out how to get into the garden, then, all hope is lost. But fortunately, we have enough that, if they take a few things, we still have plenty. So,
There is something I would like to point out. Japanese beetle.
Yeah, no thank you. Everyone look away.
There is one thing I want to point out, is this corn was planted pretty much the same time as the milpa corn. The milpa corn, which has all those plants and weeds in with it, is almost ready to harvest. This is obviously a couple of weeks later, and there's only a couple of days difference in the planting. Part of that is probably this garden has been used a lot, so the soil is probably somewhat depleted, but also I think also the milpa technique probably has something to do with it as well.
there you go.
So,
Yeah.
anyway.
Something else I wanted to point out was that in addition to Alan building these boxes out of, used wood, he built that one up in the corner higher because it's so much easier to work, something that's waist high. And it's also better, Jen, if you want to take note, to keep the rabbits out. But anyway, that would be the preferred method.
And that's just corrugated steel roofing leftovers or something?
Yep, that's what it was. Yep. And this surface here is also organic. What I did here is I laid down some plastic old political yard signs under here, just to make it easier for me to keep this from working its way into the earth. But all of this wood chip is from wood that we've taken down from our garden or from our property, and Alan's run through the chipper. So this is also, reused material from our property, as according to our value of trying to not buy so many things and haul in things. I think last time you were here, you asked about this. So we have a lot of corn, and when we cut all the sweet corn off of the corn cobs, we save the cobs, and we put them in the garden. If you can see, that's in this garden bed. The reason for that is it does a really good job of holding water. And in years that we have drought, it really helps to have these cobs, especially gathered around the roots of the plant. Right now, I'm in the process of tearing out these peas, but that's why there's a bunch of corn cobs in here.
Oh, Jamie offers, Carol with Jamie offers marigolds might help to keep rabbits out. Something I've heard in the past. I don't know if you've ever tried that one.
We have had marigolds, and they will come back year after year. And when they get into the garden, I don't pull them out. This year, somehow, I haven't had as many. but that would help. They're supposed to be good for bugs too. Here, would you like a pea, a fresh pea?
Oh.
Help yourself. Want one?
I
pretty
wanted
good.
to show this too.
Oh, hey.
Oh,
So
we'll talk about that later.
yeah, so this is, it's also, we put this in the garden and in the boxes. This is biochar. It's basically charcoal, and we made this ourselves here on the property, and hopefully we'll have a chance to see where we did that later on.
Thanks, Al. Another soil amendment. Al points out good reuse of materials.
Thank you. Yeah, I really like that. There's some more bricks that I scavenged from a friend who had taken out her chimney, and those I'm going to use to make a rocket stove, which I've done before.
Oh, nice.
And so I know how to do that. And those are, since they're fire bricks, I can do that.
Oh,
with those.
Jamie seems quite interested. Question, can we get a biochar class sometime?
Woo.
Jamie, I think...
We learned how to do this with the NSAS. Going to one of their conferences, they had a session on how to do make biochar, and I saw that, and we have a lot of wood. You'll see a huge pile of branches later on.
yeah.
So we did. That's how we learned how to do it, and we would welcome anybody who wants to come out and learn. We'll
Yes.
show them.
And you can help.
And by helping us do it again.
Yeah. Anybody wants to help gets free biochar.
Yeah.
I'd like to point out these trees. We put these trees in the first year we were here. I think your sister brought us some housewarming gifts of trees. And so these trees are about 24 years old, and they have been producing apples for quite a while. Tanya will verify that they're good apples. She comes down and gets some every year that she can. And we don't spray, so they're not going to be perfect, but they're still good apples, and we sure would love to give away apples in the fall. Everybody we know comes out and picks apples, and we could use even more because
Go ahead and pick it.
many
'Cause
go.
This particular tree, for some reason, it drops the apples before they ripen up.
Yeah.
So this is one that's not, but it's not ripe. But you know, they're great for making pies. So you can do that.
That kind of tart.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, all right then. I'll
find
join
They're a
you.
little sweet. Yeah.
How about this one? Come here.
Jump.
Gotcha. There we go.
I want to get over here real quick just to show you something real quick.
Hold on, we're gonna...
So,
Just one second, Nancy. Hold on here.
okay.
I'm hoping the apple sound is coming across, giving people some of the experience.
Apple just fell.
There you
So
go.
our dog is a digger.
Yeah.
This is her project this year.
Yeah.
And this is fine because, you know, that keeps the weeds down underneath the apple tree. I see some poison ivy growing up on
Alan,
it.
Ooh.
what you need to do is just show them this real quick, okay?
Yeah, of course.
Hang on, I have several comments here. Audrey points out, great call on the biochar. I think it was Nash Leaf who taught that class. And thanks for being such great teachers.
Could have been.
Jamie said right on. And Tanya wants to know, what's a fire stove? So maybe we'll come back to that in a minute. Audrey says, I can taste that apple. And Jamie says, the crunchy apple sound was spot on.
All right.
Oh, here, hold on. Look at this. Look at this.
Take a picture from this
Here we go.
side. We're getting a lot of, you can get a lot of apples
All right,
from
I'll
this
go.
side. So, as you can see, our property being in middle farmland, we have some bins right next door, and they're a bit noisy because of the dryers that they run in the fall. And so, you can get, boy, this is a little embarrassing, but there's a tree in here. See the tree?
Okay.
This is, I have some more of these. This is a
Oh, yeah.
Colorado blue spruce.
Oh, yeah.
And I got this free from the NRD,
From Papio.
Papio NRD. And that was a couple years ago when they had extra trees during COVID. But anyway, those you can get for very cheap from the NRD or free if they have too many. And those are really high in the ability to block out sound. So we put a line of them here, and that helps with that.
Yeah, that's
I think it's Desiree says, What is your process for not spraying? What have you found that works?
We cut out the bad parts
Okay.
Apples?
on the apples.
Okay.
If you take a look here, you see there are two of us. When we get something like this, we ask people to come and harvest. But I've also made apple cider out of it.
Oh, yeah.
And
Alan got a press.
yeah, and I really like the apple cider. So,
Yeah, and the hard cider, too.
yeah, well, that's what I mean when I say apple cider. It's hard cider.
So I want to answer the question on the rocket stove while we're walking.
Oh, rocket stove is what it is.
It's
Rocket
a
stove.
Rocket, and a rocket stove. You can Google it, Tanya, but it's a stove that you feed small amounts of fuel, being things like that, sticks about that size, into the bottom of it, and you make sure there's a draft of air coming into the bottom as well. And so you have a draft of air, and then you have some kind of plate, and then you have a surface on that plate that you can put your fuel. And you constantly feed it, and it burns really hot, and you build up around the sides. You build it with bricks. You can build it with other materials, but we've actually seen it in use in Guatemala. They made us some coffee and some other food on that. So this is a really common, easy to make stove, and it's really kind of fun. It's fun to make, and you can do all different sizes and styles. Oh, yeah.
All right, Alan, what have you got?
So this is our compost bin. Right now it's pretty depleted because we used Nancy used a lot of the compost this year. And as she said, she put it in that box, and we got volunteers. Right now there's some more coming up.
More volunteers.
More volunteers. Those are some squash. We are not sure what kind, but
Compost bin squash.
yeah, they're compost. Usually it's going to be acorn or butternut because that's what we use. We've also had avocados come up in here and peaches.
And peaches. We have peach trees.
Yeah, we have peach trees that we've harvested from our compost.
Something I want to say, since Tanya asked about the rocket stoves, you come on down and we'll make one together. It's okay. It'll be fun. Right here, this is where Alan rolls up his chipper, and you can see he's got these things staged to chip, so we can have some more ground cover for the garden. So
Okay, now this is...
Hold on, Alan. Hold on.
we make this quick. This is where we pulled out all the concrete, or well, Aaron did.
And this, we used to have a garden shed here. It was we tore it down, and most of the lumber is out in a lumber pile, and we'll use it. But this is house for our garden gnomes.
Yeah.
And
So they got a
the-
place to go to the bathroom when they come over.
The moon is for the female garden gnomes, and the sun is for the male garden gnomes.
Yeah,
Perfect.
unisex.
Perfect.
Cool.
Tanya says sounds good. So it looks like you're going to be doing a rocket stove class before too long here, Nancy.
Fun. That'll be fun. Okay, so this is, I want to point out this awful looking mess, but this is an important spot for us. I have not cleaned it up yet, but this is where our propane tank used to be. And we had that removed this year, and we are so happy to be off all fossil fuels on our property. And if anybody who watches this video or who's online right now knows anybody who has not, who has gotten their house to where they have no fossil fuel use, I want to talk to them because I don't know anyone who has done that, and we finally accomplished that. Not really trying, but just step by step, we've managed to get ourselves all off of fossil fuel.
So you're not in a city, so you don't have gas coming into the house. You
Well,
used to have a tank
yeah.
that was propane.
Right.
That's gone. And you have electricity coming in, but I guess we'll talk more about the electricity in just a little while, huh?
Right. When we had propane going into the house, it did fire some of our, or it did fuel some of our appliances, but we got rid of those appliances. And so that's why we were able
What were they replaced with?
well, we replaced our gas stove with a, what's that called?
It's an induction.
Induction stove, which is really great.
An electric.
Yes, it's all
Electric
electric
induction stove.
Very, very efficient.
Right.
High efficiency, and it works wonderful. I'm really really happy
It'll
with
actually, it's much more efficient and heats faster than gas.
it. Yep,
And you can control it kind of like gas.
yep.
It responds very quickly.
Teapot boils them instantly almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I do want to point
Oh.
out something on the house here that up there.
And
you
our
can
heater,
see-
we replaced the
This
heater.
is hot, yes,
Oh, yeah.
solar hot water. Now that's what we did is when we needed to replace our hot water heater, we put in we had Alex Legg in North Bend put in a solar hot water for us. And this we used Michael Shanka as a consultant.
Out of Omaha.
Yeah, out of
So
Omaha.
rather than solar that makes photovoltaic electricity, this is solar that just makes heat energy, which is then used directly as heat
Right.
to
Hot
heat your hot water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's
Hot water
actually
only.
glycol in there, a glycol water mix, so it doesn't freeze, and that goes into a large tank in the basement. And sometimes that tank will be on a sunny day, especially in the summer. It can be 150, 160 degree water, which is hotter than what we normally would have.
Oh yeah, I mean a shower is like 105 or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Now we're on a well out here, and that has allowed us to also put in, well, it's geothermal, but it's ground source heat pump, and it's an open loop geothermal system. So right behind you is, you see that those pieces of rebar sticking up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that, and then there's our horseradishes in front of that horseradish that you had for
yeah.
lunch, for supper. Anyway, right in that area, that rebar is protecting the wellhead for the injection well for our open loop
Okay.
system. And also, here's some mulberries. Hey, Tanya, you're missing out on mulberries. They're good.
So I just heard some cicadas.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, they're really gonna oops.
They're big
Oh,
fat
goodness.
ones, aren't they?
Oh goodness.
They're good. Also, Audrey wanted some.
Oh my goodness, what a mess.
Isn't that good, though?
Yeah,
They're so sweet.
right off the bush.
Okay. So Alan wants to talk about our solar panels.
Okay, Alan, tell us about the solar.
So we used Southwest Energy out of Lincoln, Randy Chantel. He put in this in 2014. It's a 5 kW array. And we had it can be adjusted. In fact, I think tomorrow I'm supposed to adjust it down because the sun's starting to move further south. And
Alan hand adjusts it by himself.
yeah, it takes about 15 minutes, about every 2 weeks once I start adjusting it. And then in the winter, the dead of winter, from around sometime beginning of November, I think, until February, I don't have to come out and adjust it, which is great because I don't want to be out here when it's that cold. But you can see there's a lot of plants underneath.
Sunflowers.
Mostly it's sunflowers. There's some grass. And there's some white yarrow that I planted in there too and stuff like that.
I have something to add.
Okay.
So this is our first array that we put in 2014. So we've had it for 10 years. It looks great. It's got a DC line into the house. So we only have one inverter, right? I always want to say converter, but inverter on it. That's different from the other array Alan will talk about. But this functions quite beautifully because it's up high enough, which was deliberate, as a carport. So when people come over,
So I'm 6'1". I'm standing on my tiptoes and reaching up, and cannot quite reach the crossbar, which must be at just about 9.5 or so, 10 feet, just right there.
so yeah, so it's got a function outside of just being an electricity generator. The other thing is that people ask about snow load, and as you can see, it's nearly flat. I think Alan mentioned this. That's because it's summertime, but in the wintertime, when the sun is low on the horizon, we get snow on it, but it's almost vertical, so it's not so much.
Yeah. I want to make a correction. I'm sorry. I got Randy's company wrong. It's SWT Energy.
Yeah.
There we go.
Right there.
Randy Chantel out of Lincoln with SWT Energy.
Yeah.
There's a
Great
phone number
guy.
if you want to give him a
He's
call.
a great guy, and he has great customer service. Anytime we've had a question or a need, he's responded immediately. It's been great.
10 years.
He can see at his house how our system is performing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you see on our garage, we have another 11 kW that we put in 2022. Yeah, I guess we're into 2022. So we're going on our second year now with it. So it's been a year and a half. And with these two arrays, we are now annually net zero energy use for the house. And what happens is in the summer we produce more than we use, so we get credits. And in the winter we pay for it because we use more than we produce.
Yeah.
Over the course of the year, net zero. You've made all the energy you need.
Yeah, for the house. Now we have electric cars, so literally in the summer we drive on sunshine because even charging up the car, it's,
Yeah, 17 kW is more than enough.
yeah.
Our house, by the way, is 3,200 square feet,
Okay.
to give you an idea.
And how big is the property?
5 acres.
Okay, so here is our promised pile of wood. This is that have taken down trees, etc. I just had one come down over here. This used to be a line of 8 or 9 cedars. We actually had like 3 of them taken out because they would shade the solar arrays on the garage
And the
in the
other
winter. But the other ones have
Mother
come
Nature
down
took out.
Yep, for us.
Yeah. So it's always something, right? We're always either trying to maintain the gardens or build a new project, or Mother Nature gives us another project to clean up a tree or something.
Now over here we have some plants. We have some plants. We have one of our peach trees that grew from seed is over there. We have 2 persimmons that have grown from seed. They're only maybe a foot tall right now. There's some sunchokes, and over here is a goji berry. And that's only a couple years old. But goji berries are very easy to grow. All you have to do is basically stick a twig in some potting soil, and it'll grow.
Root.
It'll
Yep.
root and grow.
And they're really tasty and really nutritious, and they're pretty expensive in the store if you look it up. Goji.
You know, the other day you mentioned you had a visitor here in the barn.
Yeah, we saw him this afternoon sitting up there.
Who is your visitor, Nancy? Tell me about him.
Well, you know, we haven't given up names, but there is a mother and father vulture that have a nest in our barn. So,
And they have at least one fledgling.
yeah.
Okay. Turkey vultures
Turkey
nesting in the barn.
And that is supposed to be pretty unusual because I talked to an ornithologist and he said that they are, as raptors, they're very, well, they're protected, so we can't disturb the nest, but if we wanted to, but they're also very, very secretive. And he said they don't like you coming around their nest. Maybe they don't want to see us to see how ugly your children are, but that at any rate, they will vomit on you as a way to keep you away. So, unless you really want to, we maybe are not going to go up there today.
We'll give them their space.
Yeah, we'll give them their space, I think. But anyway, so we're hoping that they come back year after year. So it's pretty cool to have vultures around here. So Alan, this is our huviculture project that we set up years ago, and this has been really successful.
This is a cement watering trough that was here for livestock, and of course we don't have livestock, so we had no use for it. But what we did is we took the concepts of hugelkultur, and we put wood in the bottom and some branches, leaves, ashes, charcoal, whatever we had to fill and then put soil on top. And it subsided over the years, and we put more soil on as it subsides. Right now, these are heirloom pumpkins, pie pumpkins. And
Got one down there.
Yep.
Starting to come on.
yeah, great. Yeah. And they're doing really great. The first year we put compost in, and we got volunteer squash and tomatoes out of it.
Yeah, we didn't even plant it.
Yeah. And we've had put squash in since. This year these pumpkins are doing great.
Yeah, the wonderful thing about putting squash out here is twofold. One is, as you could see in the garden that I was showing earlier, I got some volunteer squash. They weren't ones I planted because I don't like to plant the type that vine because they take over the garden. But you can let them vine right over the sides of this. They can take over whatever they want out here. So that's really nice to have your squash out here away from your other plants that you don't want it to take over. The other thing is, as you can see over there is my beehive. I've had as many as 3 hives out here. Bees really, really like squash flowers. So to them, this is like a free snack bar. And it's right there for them. Maybe that's why they have not really needed to come into your garden, Alan, but that's a really great thing to have near bees. Oh, the sun's going down, see?
Yep.
You sure you don't want to take a chance on checking out that baby horse? Your rain hat?
So there is one thing I wanted to point out. You know, we've been emphasized it takes a lot of work to do, especially what we were doing in the front yard.
Yeah.
But that's basically because I tried to do the whole thing at one time, and because I am impatient. I would recommend anybody can do that. Go to native plants, but start with like a 10 by 10 plot, something like that. Put in some echinacea, some other plants, you know, yarrow, whatever, that you would like to see, maybe some a bush or something along with it, and get that established and then expand. Just spend the time doing it that way.
Yeah.
As opposed to trying to keep up with killing off the grass and doing everything.
One thing we don't do out here is we don't fertilize at all. And somebody pointed out once that grass is the only crop that man will plant, fertilize, and harvest and never eat.
And water.
And just throw it away. Yeah, and water. So it's really a waste. Grass is really a waste of space.
So you say you don't fertilize, but I heard you mention chicken manure, and I know you've talked about compost. So it's not. So what is it that you mean when you say we don't fertilize?
We don't buy fertilizer.
Okay.
We don't.
And commercial stuff to put on.
Okay.
And I don't even use plant food.
So
That's a
this
nice
tree, this tree has not really produced a lot of apples for us before. This year it looks like it's doing great, and you can see that some of them are actually ripe and falling down.
Yeah, this one is nice and ripe when it fell.
Yeah,
You know,
and that might be because it has moth in it or something.
a couple years ago.
Looks like you got some unwelcome
we
guests
have-
on a
Yes.
couple of these here. I can
Yep.
see from the leaves the notorious telltale sign of the Japanese beetle.
Yep.
And you can see over
And I can
here.
see them on the fruit up there, and then I think I got a cluster of them
A
here.
couple years ago, they
unfortunately.
had this tree completely decimated. I mean,
Yeah.
it had just leaves that were all skeleton leaves.
Yeah.
But so it's come back well.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the Japanese.
Oh, here they are doing it.
They love the apples. They love the
Yeah.
apple trees.
Going nuts on the leaves. Look at them just.
I think we have one more thing to show, don't we, Alan?
Yeah, one or two, and then we should be done. But you can see the devastation on these.
Yeah, on the outer leaves there, they've really
Yeah.
gone to town
And
on them.
there's some plums over there. They don't like the plums as much, but that's a red delicious apple tree over there.
Your favorite, right, Alan?
Yeah, not at all. So they can eat that one. But you can see there's some apples on there too. But this is, yeah, we don't spray you know, I do it. I will admit, a few years ago, when they were like just our apple trees were black with them. We had some old 7 hanging around, and I sprayed them.
You ever try the soap and water?
We do that.
I know in the city that's the thing that. Whoa!
He never walks anywhere. Sorry.
The dog clipped me and knocked me straight to the ground.
Sadie.
Thanks, Sadie. Sorry. Desiree says, do you do anything to deter the Japanese beetles? And I was mentioning in town, you know, if you have a garden, a flower garden, or even some vegetables in your yard, people will occasionally use soap and water to grab beetles and drown them. Or I've seen the pheromone traps are another common one.
Do not get those traps.
Don't think so.
Unless you have chickens.
Okay.
Yeah, because
And then you put the trap in with the chickens and
Yes.
let the chickens eat the beetles.
Yep.
Yeah.
Eric and Christine have a trap, and then Ryan and Liz across the street have a coop of chickens that they keep. And so the beetles do go to the chickens.
good.
But yeah, you do end up with a lot of the beetles
Yeah,
with the
because
traps.
that-
Well,
what
you're
the pheromones
attracting
just
them.
attracts the beetles.
Yeah.
And it'll attract more than the trap can handle.
Yeah.
You know, we also did do something with a fungicide
the-
or something. What did you do?
Oh, milky spore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
the milkweed spore. We did do that. You know, it's pretty expensive to put it down.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of, you know, 5 acres. There was no way we're going to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
They have not been as bad, you know, lately.
They did decimate our grapevines. Though. We used to have grapevines.
Yeah, one of them's still left.
Okay, what have we got here?
Yeah.
So this is where we made the biochar.
Okay.
And so basically,
I think I can ask you to speak up because I bet that the cicadas are going to come through really loud on the microphone.
Yeah.
okay.
So I'm trying to move the tree
Yep.
out of the way.
So this is another one of the cement watering troughs. And what we did is we put a barrier through half of it, put branches like this down in the bottom, and then piled a little bit larger branches, and then a whole lot of the smaller stuff. Kind of like this, but we have a big pile of that over there. And you light the top of it, the smaller stuff. It sucks the oxygen out from below, and it gets hot enough that the volatiles come up, and it takes away everything except the charcoal. So that's how you make the biochar. So we still have some here, some branches that we have left in that didn't fill all the way through. And you can just put it on in your garden this way. We gave some to some friends. A friend of ours, Andrew Tony's in Hideaway Farm, out by north of North Bend, by Ames. He said that he gave some biochar. I think
I think we're probably going over time.
Okay, here we go. Yep, they can clearly hear the cicadas and love seeing the biochar. So there it is. All right, so tell me what else you did with the biochar, Alan?
Okay, so we gave some to a couple of friends. Andrew Tony's fed some to his hogs.
Yeah.
And, because they would.
He wanted them to put on more weight.
Right. We also gave some to Ed Zeleny, and he fed them to his chickens. His chickens loved it, ate it right up. So it's really good for that. It's basically activated charcoal.
The reason biochar, we made the biochar, wanted to try that out, is because we had a drought year. And during that drought year, we had been watering just about every day. And that's an excessive amount of water to have to use. So, and that was just for our gardens and for, you know, our vegetable gardens. We didn't even have the front yard at that point. And we understood from the NSAS class that the biochar is like a sponge. You put it in your garden, which we have done, and it'll soak up all the water, all the moisture, and then it'll also have these spaces in it that will attract good organisms to live in there, and so it revitalizes the soil quite a bit. So it's really good soil amendment. especially good in a dry area. It also stays in there for quite a long time, and it is a form of carbon sequestration. So
this is what I want to point out about this too. This is the barrier that we used here.
Oh yeah.
This is some steel roofing that we had left over, and we had some aluminum tubing. It got hot enough to melt the aluminum,
Oh yeah.
but the steel held up, luckily.
So it gives you some idea of how hot that fire burns. And we didn't even do it for an hour.
Yeah.
So the process we used here was we had hoses that we pulled out on either side, and Alan was running back and forth from the piles, feeding the flames because it was burning so hot and so fast. And I was standing there with the hose, hosing it down outside to keep it from coming outside of the trough.
We mowed down everything before we
it
did
was
it.
much more mowed down.
Yeah.
And a concrete trough is really a relatively good fire containment location
It was.
relative to just burning on your grass or
You
something.
can't do it just on the grass because you get too much oxygen.
Yeah.
Most people will have like a tank that they've used, a converted tank, maybe an old gas tank or something, and or you can actually buy tanks to do that.
Most people, if you look on the internet and stuff, they'll be doing it in a smaller container, a much more contained area.
I've seen like 50-gallon drums maybe have been used in the past,
Yeah.
like a steel barrel.
Right.
That
And they
50
use
gallons probably
pieces
kind of
of
small
wood.
for it.
Yeah.
You're probably looking more like a 500 gallon.
Oh, okay.
So the reason we use this is, one, we had it, and two, we had all these limbs, and it's a lot less work to cut them longer than shorter. So.
Yeah. Okay, and I think there is one other thing that we would like to show.
And while we're walking over there, let's talk about your experiment. And also, do you want to go through this way?
We can go this way.
Okay.
So when we did a test the other night, I lost connection a few times over in this part of the property, so apologies to any of the audience if we are just a little bit choppier with the video over here.
Okay, so I'll talk real fast. So a few years ago, during COVID, Alan got the idea that he wanted to try out a proof of concept on a below-ground greenhouse. Now, we're not showing that on this video. It'll take too long. But this greenhouse, he dug by hand with buckets and shovels over the course of the summer, and he got it down to 4 feet, and then 8 feet in some parts, right? In the cold sink part. It's kind of a lot to explain right now, but the idea was that the cold sink, where the cold air would go, and then it would go up in the winter, the hot, and it would circulate. So Alan put sensors in the greenhouse in the cold sink and at the level of the soil, and also in the top, and then we had a sensor outside in the barn, just as comparison to the ambient temperature outside. And then he graphed it all, and we saw that that greenhouse worked great even throughout the winter, and it had no heat run to it at all. It was roughly 10 degrees warmer in that greenhouse, sometimes more, during the whole winter. And that was during a winter where we had a really bad cold snap.
The major thing about that, I'm sorry.
Okay, so just wanted to say that was a good proof of concept, and it was the idea of an earth-berm greenhouse where you can make it out of reusable materials. It's all materials we had. I think he bought nails and caulk, and he used old windows, for the outside of it, and other materials that we already had on the property. And we did grow things in there, and it was pretty good. Unfortunately, we had a heavy rain, and part of it caved in. So he learned about the structural design and from that project.
Right.
So that's why we're not showing it, because right now it's under reconstruction.
Yeah. So, and one thing I want to say about that is, the major thing about that is the ground never froze inside the greenhouse.
Yeah.
So the plants can overwinter, cold season plants like
Yeah.
broccolis, lettuces, things like that.
It's pretty great.
So this is something Aaron Urbonsky did for us again. These are some native plants. There's some native ginger, wild ginger in here, some mayapple, and bloodroot. And they have various medicinal uses.
And they grow in the shade.
And I'm not sure which is which, so I can't tell you. But over here,
This is
I did want to show you.
Yeah, this is kind of the last project we had to show.
And this is, doesn't look like much. It's a bunch of logs
Yeah,
over here.
it doesn't. Maybe you can zoom in on some
Oh
of
yeah.
these
Oh yeah,
holes.
yeah. Okay.
See the holes?
Yeah.
These ones right here are where Aaron, okay, so remember we told you he took out some trees for us and shading our array. Well, he brought the wood over to a pile, and he waited a certain amount of time so that the wood's natural defenses against fungus would be gone after it was cut. And then he inoculated it, and that's what he drilled holes in and put the spores in for mushrooms. So then we piled them up over here, or he piled them up over here, and Alan spread them out later so they'd have ground contact and have plenty of moisture. And the idea here is that we should have mushrooms soon.
What kind of mushrooms?
These are oyster.
Oyster.
Okay, so this is black cohosh.
Say it one more time.
Black cohosh. So I've not seen it blooming before, but this is also was put in. Aaron put this in along with those other roots. He said this one need to be separate from those. It didn't get along well with them. But we see this growing around all over the place. This is the first time I've seen a bloom. This is kind of pretty.
Scott, here's a good example of
Let me see if I can come around. Take another look at your fungi.
Some of the logs, he did it on the ends as well as along the side, but can you see this? And with my foot there, you can kind of see the size. See, and then he covered it with a wax to keep critters, because critters like to eat that stuff.
So those holes that don't have it,
Yeah, that's where some critters got in there.
I think we actually have a mushroom coming up.
Really?
Yeah?
Holy moly. That's exciting.
Hey!
Oh!
Look at that.
Aaron was real careful to point out that when we harvest these, not to pull them out, but to cut them off.
Okay.
We want to leave the root system in there to grow again.
So I think that is pretty much it. This area out here we have some fruit trees out here, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah. You don't have time.
Yeah.
I think I've got about 840 just now, so.
Well, yeah, we've done.
Wow.
We've done.
I mean, I do think the Facebook event was scheduled for 90 minutes. Ooh, hey, firefly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's firefly time. Hopefully we'll see more.
Let's trek back.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, if there's any questions, or
That's how we know we're so sweet.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think that's a coincidence.
Says it is reconnected. I don't know if anyone's still watching that has any questions. As we walk back, we'd be glad to answer any questions with Alan and Nancy.
I guess if there's any questions while we're waiting, I wanted to say about our house again. Our house is, it uses a lot of various techniques to save energy. And one thing we started out doing, I highly recommend, is we got an energy audit of our house. And that way the person who did that audit produced a report, showed us where we could reduce airflow that was going out, like heat in winter, and where we could insulate and things like that. So you want to do that before you go ahead and install solar, because you don't want to pay for more solar than you need. Insulation's a lot cheaper than solar. So there are some things that, kind of a stepwise way to do it, but it did take us a number of years to get there. And we only just got off of all fossil fuel use this last winter. I would say we worked on it for at least 10 years to get there. So I just wanted to point that out, because even if you do a little bit, you will see a big difference in your heating bill. But every bit you do helps, obviously.
yeah. So, and we didn't start out trying to get to net zero. We just wanted to try different things, and so various things work. Some things we've tried haven't, and maybe we forget about those. But
All learning things.
Audrey was curious what made you think about doing an energy audit to begin with.
well, we were interested in putting in solar, so we did have that interest. And when we that was like the first thing you do is have the energy audit.
Yeah, I think it was because we knew, since our house is 120 years old, that's a pretty old house. It was poorly insulated. It was built before even plumbing was on the house. So we knew that we probably should be looking at things to improve the energy efficiency of the house itself. So, for example, when we put on a room in the back, we put on a sunroom. We put some dark-colored tile in that room, and the reason for that was because as a sunroom with that south face, it would absorb that sun in the summertime when it was. In the wintertime when it was. With the leaves were off the trees. So the idea there was, that we were already using things that would help.
Do you happen to remember who it was that did the energy audit?
We were trying to think of that the other day.
It's been, what, more than 10 years now?
Yeah, it's been.
He lives up by Oakland.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll think of it later.
Okay.
Sorry, but yeah, he did a good job. He gave us some good information, and it's a step-by-step process. Every time we saved a lot of energy. For example, we saw a huge dip in our electric bill after we put in that heating system.
Yeah.
That really helped the ground source heating
We would
system.
spend about $2,500 a winter on propane, and that was when the prices were good. And after we put in the ground source heat pump, we didn't buy any more propane.
Yeah, that's true. So
You
that
have a-
really worked out for us.
Oh my gosh.
Dad is going home with you.
Okay.
That would be okay with us.
Well,
You take it. He's an outdoor cat.
yeah.
But anyway, any
Hold on.
questions? You get any questions?
All right. Here's the solar arrays interconnected to the power coming down from the
You could show
pole
'em that
through the meter.
graph thing in the garage.
Oh yeah. You want to take a look?
I'll
Let's take a look at a couple of the electrical features.
I mean, if people are interested.
I mean, I'm definitely interested.
But there's,
These are elderberries.
yeah, anybody who wants elderberries, come on out. We're not going to be eating those at all.
Got plenty.
Yeah. There's some light. Okay.
All right. So electric cars. Tesla. Which one?
There's a Model Y
Tesla Model Y.
This is my
Chevy
Chevy.
Chevy Bolt.
and a Model S.
Tesla Model S.
Sale,
2015.
if anyone wants to buy our Tesla Model S. You don't need 3 cars.
Okay. Solar arrays up on the and
Here's
then.
our, did you want to show them that, how we can?
So right now, of course, it's not producing any energy, but this is what it did during the day. And at one point it peaked for a 15-minute at 9 kilowatt hours.
Oh yeah.
Right, 9 kilowatts for 15 minutes at a time. So today we got 64.67 kilowatt hours, which is more than we would use.
And that's I don't know, maybe it's 8 cents or something, so like 50 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, sorry, $5. 8, 10 cents.
Yeah. So this
It's
says,
$5 a day to electricity. Okay, not 50.
So-
$5 a day.
it popped up here. It said like, so far we've produced something like 30 megawatts of electricity and said enough to run 2 stadiums. So these are microinverters on this particular. This is only the array on the roof. So right now it's not producing anything, but it'll show. What we used are what Randy put in were Chilicon inverters, and they do 2 panels at a time. And this also shows, various things that we can do.
Can you go back
and set
to
up
that
the Wi-Fi.
graph? Yeah, that graph there, We have a similar graph like that on the system that feeds into our basement from, and that graph during the eclipse of 2017.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was. That was
saw it,
really
didn't you?
interesting. I think we showed it to you where it just went boom all the way down and then went all the way back up because it was in the middle of the day. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, and I do want to point out that even though we are not, we are not generating quite enough energy to power our cars year round, it's still totally worth it to have these cars because it is still, I mean, what would you say was, we've had this now for over a year, so what would you say we pay in electricity per year? Because we're powering our cars.
Just for the cars, I would need to process that out.
Okay.
But I got reports on my Tesla app on how much I paid, and for 1 year for that car was $290.
$290 worth of fuel
Yeah,
over a year.
a year.
So
Fuel being
electricity.
energy in that case.
Yeah.
Right.
Electricity.
Now, that's mitigated somewhat, quite a bit, because when we go on long trips, we had free supercharging.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so probably that would have added, I think that was like 30%. So
But still, that's
that
quite a
probably would
bit.
have added another $100.
That's still quite a bit less than what you would spend on gas.
Yeah, I mean any car running on gasoline, $300 in a year feels like you probably bought more than that much gasoline in a year.
Right.
Yeah.
And, it's not light driving. I mean, we were putting 15, 20,000 miles on the car.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is, you get up in the morning and you've got a full tank, no matter what, right? Because it's always
always
on
full.
charger overnight.
Yeah.
So,
So we have two chargers. One is the Tesla charger here. This is a mobile charger that came with the car, with the Model S. And you can buy them now from Tesla. I think they're like $300. And that gives us it's plugged into a 220 outlet, and that gives us about 3 miles per hour. That it'll of equivalent electricity. This is a charge point charger that OPPD gave us a $500 rebate on. I think we paid $700 and got $500 back. So about $200 we put that one in. And that actually is a little bit more efficient than the Tesla one, because this is a mobile charger. But this one, we probably get about 26. So it's just slightly more efficient.
How about that green guy over there?
Yeah, okay, right. So this is our lawn equipment. So we do have some legacy fossil fuel. We have 3 here. We also have a tractor in the barn, utility tractor, but we have the chipper, the wood chipper, a large tiller, and a brush mower. The brush mower is currently not working. It's gotten to the point where I have to rebuild it about, fix it about every year. I want to use it.
but what we are doing is trying to use all equipment that uses the same size battery.
So this is
This is all electric.
Right.
This is an electric.
Wow.
Lawnmower.
Yeah.
Oh,
this
yeah,
is
look at that.
Greenworks, so we stay in the Greenworks family. This will take 6 8-amp-hour batteries, and we can mow. We mow.
I get all the mowing done on 2
Yeah.
that I want to do.
And that we don't do the whole property. We have a brush mower on the
Yeah.
back of the tractor,
If-
3-point mower that.
If we want to mow the whole property, we hardly ever do.
Yeah.
The idea here is that we keep buying the same kind of equipment that uses the same kind of battery. So if that battery will work in the trimmer and the
Oh yeah.
chainsaws, yeah, and the tree saw.
Take a look over that way real quick at the other family of electric utilities or electric appliances.
So we have a small tiller. Does a pretty good job. We have a trimmer. This is a hole saw for living trees, and we have two of these chainsaws. This is an 18-inch one. We have a 16-inch one that we had earlier. If we're both using them, we can both.
And they all just hook up those same batteries that were over in the tractor.
Right,
Yeah.
and we charge them over there. And so we're only using this lawn equipment in the summertime,
Sure.
right? So we are using all of our power equipment running on the sun.
Solar powered mower, solar powered chainsaws. Oh, look at those things.
So this is one of the batteries that goes into the mower, and you can see that this is an 8 amp hour. I think they actually are making some 12 amp hour now, maybe even 20, but they're probably even longer. And this is you can see that it's shorter. This fits into the hand tools. However, you can put this in the hand tools. It will work, but it's very heavy and it's kind of tiring.
More power than you need.
I found that out today. So one thing I do want to point out is that it's not like we go out and buy all this stuff because it looks like a lot of money. We just focus on getting that kind of equipment whenever we have to replace something.
Okay.
And that way we're, slowly converting all of our equipment. For example, a couple years ago, I burned up our gas-powered lawnmower by mistake. So Alan just said, "That's fine. We'll replace it with a nice electric one I've been wanting to get." So.
Yeah. Yep.
Shall we mosey back towards the house?
Sure.
I bet we've got pretty close to. I got 8:57.
Oh, wow.
So that's it.
Yeah. We've used up all the time and then some.
Yeah.
So our cat.
Right
must have
on
heard
time.
us and
Yeah, I
took
guess.
off. No, I'm not leaving. So, anybody wants to come out and get some berries, apples, any kind of things like that? Look us up. Come on out.
All right.
You wanna pull-
Yeah. So anybody who wants to do a internship, we might feed you. The pay is very low.
Local organic food.
Yeah.
All right.
Did Kelsey finally get in there?
I don't know. I've had people coming in and out. I've still got 3 people left up here, but I can't see everyone's name unless they leave comments.
Okay.
But Alan and Nancy Meyer, thanks so very much for the tour from the Nebraska Sustainable Agriculture Society. Thanks to everyone who joined us. And the video should be archived in the future so people can watch back.
Okay.
Thanks, Scott, and thanks, Audrey.
Oh, here we go. Love the plug for the internship. Thanks, Audrey.
Hi. Hi, Kelsey, if you're there.
And our cat is on your car still.
Yeah. He's going home with
Oh,
you.
great.
He's all yours.
Thanks, Kat.